My name is Robert Karagoff, and my firm is Triumph Law PC. We're based in Folsom, California, with offices in Sacramento, Folsom, and San Diego. Kenneth Dansby was a passenger in a vehicle driven by a friend of his at the time of the crash. They were heading south on State Route 99. They were in the number 3 lane. There was a large tractor trailer in the number 2 lane that made a lane change into their vehicle and ended up causing a collision between the truck and the car. We had a neck injury that resulted in a surgery. Mr. Dansby was an older gentleman. He was in his mid-60s, had just gotten to retirement age shortly after we started representing him. He worked as a railroad engineer, was a very physical job. He had some pre-existing neck problems that included some radicular symptoms, and so it was a significant hurdle in terms of getting his case worked up and dealing with the fact that we had some pre-existing conditions that were somewhat significant. The objective that we were taking to ensure he gets taken care of in this case was to just watch the treatment and try to kind of help give him the tools to talk with his medical providers about progressing the treatment and to make sure we were maximizing his recovery. The opposition defense lawyers in this case were the scorched earth type of defense lawyers. Everything was fought tooth and nail, whether there was a good reason for it or not. I knew there was probably like a 90 to 95% chance we would see a courtroom in this case just because of the defense lawyers. And it helped prompt earlier investment into things like a video with DK Global for the surgical animation, and for us looking at all the potential ways in which this case was going to be defended and start addressing those defenses earlier on. In this case, we had DK Global create an animation that showed the surgery from beginning through end. It was a C5 to C7 discectomy infusion surgery. The animation in this case was done very early on before I took the surgeon's deposition. It was prepared so that he could answer the questions necessary to get that animation into evidence. And ironically, when I did the animation for Dansby, it wasn't specifically with an intent to try to set the case up for settlement. It was more specifically designed to make sure that all the ducks were in a row for trial purposes. But as it happened to develop, the defense lawyers were replaced by new defense lawyers who were more agreeable to settling the case for a reasonable value. The fact that the animation had been prepared and used in the surgeon's deposition already certainly, I think, put us on the fast track to resolve this case. The resolution of this case is confidential, but I would say it was a very favorable resolution for this client. I've used DK Global numerous times, and usually on the more catastrophic cases, and it's always been a good investment from my perspective in terms of how it affects positive case resolution. I'd like to use the DK Global animations early if I think there's a good chance that I can use those animations in a mediation or to convince the defense lawyers that this is a case that should settle or that their valuation is off. The case with animations is always going to be more impactful than the case without animations.